Alright, so let's get this project going, this painting. So I've got my sketch done. I shaded the areas where I came up with the pattern that everywhere the edge starts, or the shape starts, is where I'm going to put a shadow, that inside edge. So I put a shadow there, but then I had a few extra spots, so I've decided to shade on the end. The important thing is that it's not the same value. Whatever's right next to it, it can't be the same. Okay, so because we're trying to create some contrast. So here is going to be light, this will be medium. So think light, medium, dark. And then in that background, wherever it's light, I made it darker. And you just have to have that. They're just kind of like notes for you for when you go to do your painting. So I'm going to transfer this. Now let's see, what would be the best way? I want to see how I could put this on this paper here. I think maybe I'll do it this way. Yeah, I guess I'll do something like that too. Just want to make sure it fits. I think, yep, it fits. Okay. Well, it's super close, but I'll just go with that. Okay. So what I've done is colored the back with crayon, and I'm going to tape this down. You can use crayon, you can use pencil, anything that's going to transfer. Charcoal, pen doesn't work because the ink won't go anywhere. But here, once I draw a line, it's going to press the line onto the paper. So I'm using a pen so that it gets a nice fine line. It's a hard point, not soft. So you can see there's the line. And this is fine to use because the paint is going to cover over pretty much everything. So let's just make sure. Okay, so everything's going through very well. So I'm just going to go around and do all the lines that are in the same direction. Cool. Good. What do I have left? I have these little edges left. And I'll be ready to paint. So for the painting part, I suggest that you mix the color of paint that you're going to use and write down what you use. You know, write down, is it a warm red, a cool red, you know, whatever you use, write it down. So that you don't forget. Because if you run out of it, you're going to need to mix some more. And you want to have, so I'd say mix like a good amount of it so that you have it ready to use. You don't have to worry about running out of it. Just going over a few lines that I couldn't see very well. Alright, cool. So there's my design. Good enough. And to start this, we're going to paint the background first. So I'm going to make a mixture. I'm going to do the magenta. So now, instead of using just straight color, I'm going to make a mixture. So I would say start with one color and add a little bit of another color. So magenta and warm yellow is what I'm going to use. And mainly magenta. So I'm going to start with, so part of the importance of this painting is consistent color. So you don't want to have like a bunch of different, like for mine, I don't want to have like a bunch of different orange colors in the whole painting. I want to have that orange that I made, you know, the original orange. So this is going to be like a really reddish. Fun fact, magenta with a little bit of yellow makes red. So there you go. Alright, so I'm going to start my painting just doing the background, and this is just the first step. So the thing to do for the first layer is just to do a coat of paint. So don't worry about any shading or anything like that. Just a coat of paint. So a couple of brushes that you might have. This is the flat. It's a 3/4 inch flat. So if I were to measure it, see how it goes to 3/4 of an inch. Wait, no. Those are centimeters. Is this a 3/4 inch? Nope, this is a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch, so there you go. 1/2 inch. 3/4 of an inch would be good. When I press down, it goes to 3/4. But yeah, this is a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to, and it's a flat. This is a filbert. Okay, the filbert is flat, but it's rounded on the edge. So this will make like straight edges. This, you can kind of like get, it comes to a point a little bit, so you can kind of like use the point of it. But either one is fine. I'm going to use the flat. This is the ferrule that holds all the brushes, this metal part. You do not want to get paint on this area. Okay, so the paint should only be on the ends of the bristles. If you get the paint into here, this is how you end up ruining your brush. The paint gets inside the metal, and then all of a sudden your paintbrush is turned solid because it's got too much paint caught in there. It's hard to get the paint out of there. So just be mindful of that. And no water. I'm just going to take paint, just take the paint with a dry brush, and I'm going to go around the entire outside. Okay, and the entire background. So we work from the background to the foreground. So we're just going to start, and we don't have to do, all we have to do here are hard edges. So I'm going to be really careful about my edges. I'm pressing the brush down. It's loaded with paint. I'm pressing it down, pulling towards me. Okay, fill an area, and then I just keep moving on. You can use the edge of the brush to make a straight line. And just pull towards me. You think of painting like, it's like hatching and cross-hatching when you're shading with pencil or pen. So it's a series of brush strokes, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look at that. I need more paint. So you're just like doing these hatch marks. It's just a bunch of lines all in one direction. Then I can change direction, so cross-hatching. I'm changing the direction, and I'm filling it in. If your paint isn't flowing, like easily enough, you can add a little bit of water. But for the first layers, I'm just trying to get a coat of paint over everything and then let it dry. For this area, smaller areas, that's where I probably would want a smaller brush. So a bigger brush for bigger areas, bigger shapes, smaller brush for smaller shapes. And after I let this dry, I'm going to go back and do some value. So if I hold the brush down and pull towards me, I'm going to get a more steady line. And then I'm going to get these edges too. Sometimes I'll start near it and then like edge my way in. Throwing up edges. So we're doing all hard edge painting right now. Hard edges. Right up against our impossible form. So this is good practice for being precise. It'll help you to practice precision. So when we go to do our other paintings, you'll already have good habits. For me too, for sure. I always need to practice precision. Everything's learned. These are all, everybody can learn how to do this. You just have to slow down enough, focus enough. You can do it. Okay, I've got to get that inside shape there, that smaller shape. So I'm going to try that filbert. Uh-oh, I'm almost out of paint. Just enough. Look at this, tiny little bit left. I'm going to have to mix more. Now this paint, you can, it dries pretty much the same color as it went down. So it's not like the tempera that is very deceptive. Okay, let me get this brush in water. Okay, so far I haven't gotten to the ferrule. All the paint is on the brush part, which is good for me. Good job for me. Okay, I'm gonna use let's see, I'm gonna use the small round brush. Dried it off, no water. Although I might need to use water now that I'm running out of paint. Use a little water to reactivate the color here. Going towards me, all around the edge. And if the lines, I'm just realizing the lines might be hard to see. All the other lines here. So if they're hard for you to see, you can always use your pen or pencil, trace over them before you start painting. So now I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to go back in with some lights and darks. So I'm going to have to mix the opposite of this color, some sort of green. Okay, so there we go. That's the deal.